I'd like to welcome our first storyteller to the stage. His name is Raphael Wanjala, and he is from Kenya. And you may see on the program there that his story is entitled, They Were Begging. Raphael?
It was in 2005 that I took my first trip to Turkana. I remember sitting on this bus for what seemed like an eternity. At that time, buses to Turkana from Kitale were not so common. We had either 2 or 3 buses at most. I was then 25 or 26, a young Saverian, a student in college. So during the long-term holiday break, I'll be spending 2.5 months in Turkana at a remote school, doing pastoral experience as a teacher. I remember very well, we were sitting on this bus, waiting for the driver to fill up before we could make our way to Turkana. The bus was packed to capacity, loaded with passengers with all sorts of luggage that one can imagine. Travelers were standing in the aisle from the front all the way to the back. One had to fight through the crowds to find his way to the seat. Then hawkers selling different merchandise kept coming on and off the bus. One thing got my attention: those who were selling water. I saw travelers buying 3, 4, 5, or even 6 bottles of water. This was 1-liter bottle each. I didn't know why one would buy all that amount of water for a one-day trip. But several hours later, as we drove into Turkana County, we began to encounter children and women along the road, signaling, calling for attention, screaming and yelling at the vehicles that were passing. They were begging. The children extended their hands to catch the attention of the passengers who were seated on the bus.
Kanyamit ayon hakure. Kanyamit ayon hakure.
I'm thirsty. Give me water to drink. I saw bottles of water starting to fly through the window. A bottle on the right through the window. Another one on the left through the window. That is when I realized why these people had been buying all that amount of water in Kitale. That is when my eyes opened. Back where I lived, where I had grown up, it was common to come across people who were begging for food or begging for money. But no one begged for water where I came from. At that moment, my eyes opened up. Why would children stand on the road and beg for water? It was a heartbreaking moment. So astonishing. Astonishing in the sense that, personally, I had never experienced water scarcity. I had never come across anyone who went without water or begging for it because they didn't have it. But in this dry and arid area, temperatures are so high, people keeping lots and lots of livestock, there wasn't water. And during the time of my visit in Kenya, we didn't have the devolved system of governance. So water, among other essential commodities and services, were not so common, not readily available to the people in hardship areas like Turkana. I personally saw children, even adults, on the Turkana River, scooping sand with their own hands to make a hole in the ground. They will bend and suck the little water droplets that was just oozing from the ground. It is common in these arid areas to find in communities water ponds made out of sand to catch rainwater whenever rain will come. If that water stayed there for a month or two, it simply became the sole source of water, primarily for their animals, the livestock, and the community as well. But you have to know that this is a community where people's livelihood is so much attached to the livestock that they will sacrifice themselves, their own comfort, to save their animals. They will preserve the water for animals at the expense of the lives of their own children. This is a place where one's wealth is equivalent to the number of livestock you have. You have 10 camels, you are a poor man. Whoever has 200 goats is a very wealthy man. They lived lives that were totally difficult to imagine. At St. Kevin Secondary School, where I was living and teaching, doing my personal experience as a brother, we had a borehole, so we had a source of water. But the people around us didn't have any. This experience planted a seed of deep gratitude in my heart. And I've always wanted to think about the good and the welfare of others. When I think of that, it always gives me the reason, the passion and the love to do what I've been doing for the last 11 years with WaterStep. We've gone to so many places on nothing that resembles a road. I've sailed on the rough waters of Lake Victoria. I've taken rides on the back of motorbikes, on slippery roads, hills, and sharp steps. I've traveled on water places I knew so well. If you ever get a flat tire or a car breakdown, chances of getting out alive are very slim. I sometimes hold my heart in my hand and ask myself, when will you ever get out of this chaos? When will you ever get out of this mess? But I do this because of the mission, that deep sense of gratitude, the love and the passion that I have for humanity to get safe drinking water. That has become my driving force, the motivating factor for the last 11 years. It all goes back to that single moment, encountering children on the road, young mothers holding their children, begging for water to drink but not food. I understand very well that our mission is greater than myself, greater than any one of us here. But somewhere, a child is healthy, a clinic is functional, a school is open. Mothers can feed their children because we made an effort to work with them. Whenever there will be a chance for me to go out and reach out to more, count on me. I will always be there.